Over the last few days, there was one topic being discussed on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it that actually surprised me. I kid you not, there was praise for how Sword and Shield looked. And I'm not saying this in this way because I hate Sword and Shield, I'm saying it like this because the main talking point back then in 2019 was Sword and Shield looked bad. So, once again, the how the game looks conversation happens, and it once again proves exactly the same thing. So hey, I'm not so a strainer, and what does it prove? Let's get into it. First of all, let me start this by saying that to me, the graphics or art style are 100% the least important part of my gaming experience. They play a role, don't get me wrong, but they are not as important as the gameplay, the plot, and the technical part of the whole thing. And yes, we could make another one of these regarding the technical part of Pokémon, but we're not doing that today. As an example, my favorite looking Nintendo Switch Pokémon game is not the one I like playing the most at all. And I'll tell you which one it is at the end, you can try to guess if you want, but for now, let's continue. So this whole thing started, like I said, when SP made a tweet saying how they preferred the art style of Sword and Shield to the art style of Scarlet and Violet. Well, right then and there, Pandora's box was open. So, when did how Pokémon looks become such a big deal? Growing up playing Pokémon since the early days of the franchise, I don't think I ever heard people even talking about this topic until the 3DS. There was a bit of discussion during Gen 5, but it was 3D that kind of brought a lot of these topics to the table. The more detailed things look, the more you start noticing flaws in the graphics and the more you question the art style, basically. Or the more powerful the console, the more you expect. But it wasn't until the Switch, until Pokémon was in the same console as some breathtaking titles like Breath of the Wild, for example, that the difference between how Pokémon looks and how other games look, or how Pokémon is able to look and how other games are able to look, became a lot more noticeable. And as more Pokémon games came out in the Switch, they were bound to be compared to each other as well. Let's Go was a safe one, the first game in the console, and didn't get a lot of visual hate, just a normal new Pokémon game hate that every single game gets. But when Sword and Shield came out, things just went crazy. On all my years as a Pokémon fan, I never saw anything quite like that. After that, I feel like I've seen it every single game. And that's because every single game so far on the Switch has been different. And I mean absolutely different. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, Sword and Shield, BDSP, Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet all have a completely different approach in how they look. And a massive one, something that you would usually see from one console to the other, is now extremely noticeable really quick. But the main thing I notice every time the how Pokemon looks discourse is brought up online is that there's no common solution. There's no majority of people saying that I want hyper-realistic Pokemon, or the majority of people saying that I want to go back to 2D, or the majority saying that I want extremely cartoony Pokemon. Do you hear those things? You do hear them, don't get me wrong, but you don't hear the majority saying one thing. And the reason for that is very simple and probably one of the hardest concepts for the online community in general to understand. The reason is, it doesn't matter. We all have different ideas of how we want something to look. We all have different tastes. It is all subjective. It is undeniable, and I'd even say factual, that there's a big difference between how polished some other games in the same console look when compared to Pokémon. And I'd say we all agree that whatever art style they decide to go with, we would rather see it as polished as possible. That, I think, is not up for debate. But every game so far being so different will inevitably speak to different people in different ways, like it did to me. And this is the part where I tell you the art style I like the most from the Nintendo Switch games. And while I really like the overworld of Pokémon Legends Arceus, the Pokémon models of Scarlet and Violet, the cities, the way the cities are designed in Sword and Shield, or even the vibrant colors of BDSP, it is Let's Go that gets a trophy here. I love how relaxing, how vibrant, how cartoony in the best way possible that thing looks. It's just an amazing experience of Pokemon. It's just how I imagine Pokemon would look. As I said, that is not my favorite game to play. That is still a bit of a tie between Legends and Scarlet and Violet. And this was not me defending the clear issues Pokemon faces. This is me saying that the diversity of art style approaches in the Nintendo Switch era of Pokemon was bound to create a plethora of different opinions that, despite being fated to clash with each other, should not be seen as anything out of the ordinary or a reason to fight. They're just a reflection of what makes the Pokémon community such a creative place. A place where people from different backgrounds with different life experiences and thus different tastes get together to walk around throwing balls at many weird animals. And that is all I have for you today, a bit of a talk about different opinions in Pokemon and how they shouldn't be a reason to fight. And no, I'm not out of speculation video ideas, you are out of video speculation. Maybe I need a trailer, okay, maybe I do need a trailer. But what about you? What's your favorite art style of the Nintendo Switch era? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon content and also ring the bell so you know when the next video is out. You can follow me on social media and Twitch, I stream there Wednesday to Sunday, not Saturday, or join our Discord, all the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.